Hello, everybody, and happy Tuesday. I hope you're having an awesome day. Regardless of what's going on, I hope it's awesome, or you're making it awesome, or you're finding the good, or you're seeking out someone you know who's helping you find the good. Um, and I wish you power through whatever you are doing. So, today we're going to talk about why is self-control so difficult, and I do have my notes, so bear with me as I may look past you guys to talk about what we've got going on here. Hold on, sorry, my computer's doing something. Okay, yeah, stop that shit. Okay. All right, so there are a lot of reasons for this self-control being difficult. First and foremost, there's been, a good deal of study about this. Um, as a species, we have evolved a lot, but we still kind of have we'll call it our ancient brain, from, way back when. And then there was a scarcity. Food was harder to get. You had to hunt, you had to forage, things like that. Um, so when, like, well, cavemen, whatever, when they got an animal or something like that, when they got food, they ate everything. They ate it all. They ate until they ran out of food. There was no saving anything. Obvious. Well, I don't want to say obviously, but there was no saving anything. There was no refrigeration. There was no concept of, storing food away unless it was, something that would keep. But for the most part, it was, you'd eat everything, and then that was until your next meal. All right, so there was scarcity. In our modern day, there is typically excess. So we're offered excess a lot, and that's part of it. That we still have a little bit of that scarcity kind of thing going on, um, and there's impulse in there versus kind of bringing ourselves back to the present of, no, I don't need to eat all this, or I don't need to indulge in this, or whatever it is. So there's a very sub level encouragement of impulse or reactivity versus waiting for a long term gain. Like, short term gain is the goal, you know. Excuse me. I'm telling you, allergies, man. All right, moving on. Most of our food is manufactured to hit your taste buds and your brain with basically yum signals. You've got sugar, you've got artificial sweeteners that um, stimulate the taste of sugar. You have fats, whether they're healthy or not. Usually they're not. Heavily processed seed oils and things like that. And then of course there are smells in there as well. And I know, like, you might say, "Oh, that sounds very conspiracy theory." Well, no, it's really not. They've done studies. A lot of places manufacture food specifically to get your attention of all of your senses. So when you drive by, even if you don't eat fast food, if you smell Burger King or something like that, you'd be like, "Oh," or even if you do eat fast food and you're not even hungry, you'd be like, "Ooh," Um, and just that's another thing that kind of makes it hard to control, is that it hits all those points in your brain and makes you want more. um, Advertising is a big thing, with anything really, but advertising is constantly feeding us messages, about hunger, and we may or may not actually be hungry. Okay. Everything is very visually appealing. Tell me that, how often has it happened, if you're somebody that's, goes to McDonald's, that that sandwich looks exactly like it did on that commercial. And then there's also an underlying message that X thing will make us feel good. It'll make us popular. It'll make us cool. It'll make us happy, etc. And this goes with food, drink, the next product. It all goes in there. And these messages usually hit at a time when we're vulnerable. Um, and what I mean by that is, most of us don't spend our entire day completely happy and satisfied. Um, and that's okay. That's not necessarily normal. If we were just happy and satisfied all the time, we wouldn't know what happy and satisfied was. I'm not saying everybody should walk around sad like a drone or anything like that, but it's something to be aware of. Like we're not always happy and we're not always sad unless we have something specific going on, which that's not what I'm talking about. Um, so we may not be happy right then. And then this commercial comes in with this food or whatever that is. Oh, that'll fix me. Like there's something wrong with you, and it's not true. Um, so that message comes in there, and there's also usually some kind of something in there that kind of creates urgency. Um, and I'm going to kind of connect that to this next bit too. Self control around food and things like that, shopping, whatever, drinking. Um, it can be a coping mechanism for trauma, which I'm not going to touch on right now because that's outside of my scope. And that's personal to each individual person. Um, it could be a coping mechanism for sadness, if you're feeling a lot of sadness, if you're feeling a lot of emptiness, if you're feeling alone. And then especially if whatever's coming in is really got all those flavor hits and those like quick happiness vibes that aren't really real, and it's just um, boredom. That's another vulnerable time. Again, there's messages out there that we as people should not be bored. Like you shouldn't be bored. You should be doing stuff all the time, and you should always be entertained. And that's just not true. Um, with so we if we're bored, with boredom will come restlessness. Um, and if we aren't comfortable sitting with ourselves and our thoughts, um, then yeah, that's gonna be like, oh yes, this thing is gonna fix me, or oh yes, this thing's gonna entertain me, or oh yes, I'm gonna do this or eat this or do that, so I don't have to deal with whatever's going on. Now, I say that as a blanketed thing. Obviously, if you are having a very hard time sitting with yourself, you might want to seek help beyond this. But just pointing to what I mean by those messages and stuff hit when we're vulnerable. So those are sometimes of vulnerability. They can also hit when we're happy. Maybe we're feeling good, we're having some nostalgia about something, and this thing comes on, and we're like, oh, and it reminds us of something, and then we want to do it, even though maybe it's not the best thing at the time. And this isn't me saying never enjoy ice cream or whatever. This is talking about self-control and why it's challenging. All right, so those are just a few of the things. All right, some of the main ones I would say. Um, so coming down on to what to do. All right, so for one, looking at going back through and listening and say, oh yes, okay, I see that in my life, or oh yes, I see that in my life, or hey, this is happening right now. Taking note of things. Um, overcoming self this overcoming a lack of self-control will take time. It's like working a muscle. It's like when you go to the gym and you're pumping it. It takes time to build it up. At first it's hard, and then it gets easier, and then you do more weight, so on and so forth. um, I will say that if you are dealing something with trauma and something like that, and just kind of doing what I'm recommending here isn't helping, please seek an actual therapist to help you with that, somebody who has experience with it and whatnot. Because if you're not happy with whatever it is you're doing, you don't have to live like that. So please go ahead and find some good help and good support. A good example of thinking about, and sorry, we're coming back to what to do here. A good example of thinking about the impulse control and waiting for the long term gain. So this is a real life thing, because you guys know I don't bullshit. I come on and tell it like it is and how I've experienced it. Um, how it is in my experience. How about that? It might not be the same for somebody else. When I worked at a body shop years ago, we had a representative that came in every Tuesday. And every Tuesday they brought donuts, and everybody knew when they were going to get there. And I'm going to tell you, every single Tuesday I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted the chocolate devil's cake with the glaze on top. Yeah, boy. All right, and never did it. And it's not like I couldn't just go in there and get it. It was it was the beginning of my journey of impulse control. Just hours of both hating myself and being proud of myself that I didn't do it. I'm like, I deserve that donut just this one time. Da 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 da. Why can't I have it? I'm not gonna get fat off one donut. And you won't get fat. You won't get fat off of one donut. But um, but it was one of those things that it was very uncomfortable to deal with in the moment to not do it. But looking back on that, later that day, and then honestly several years later, I am so happy that I did not do that. you know so that's that fighting, all of those things, like, the scarcity thing. And then of course, donuts are manufactured to be like yummy, and then it's almost an advertising thing. Well, everybody else is having the donuts, all that good stuff. So the key thing here, make sure I didn't turn myself off. Okay, is this will take time. So start with noticing it, and just honestly try to stop yourself, or maybe avoid a situation if you know it's going to happen. Now, you can't avoid life. I mean, you can, but I don't recommend it. Um, but remember, you do have a choice, okay? It's going to take some discipline. Um, this is one of the reasons why food prep really helps. And then, of course, we talked yesterday about logging to know exactly what you've been having or whatever. Um, so yeah, and if you can, maybe set yourself up for like a low barrier resistance. So something that's, like, okay, well, I'm going to exercise just a little bit in this more safe and secure place. I'm not going to like go out to the mall at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when suddenly feeling tired and decide to eat whatever I can. That might not be the way to go. Um, but maybe that's a good point. You have a meal, you go out somewhere where, and you're not full. Like, you have a good meal, you're like 80% full. Go out somewhere where you're going to smell something that's going to try to tempt you, and that's actually a nice way to bring it to awareness too. If you smell something that smells really good and you're not actually hungry and you just ate. So, but anyways, again, so prep helps, and then just working it one thing at a time. Be kind to yourself if you don't nail it. If you see a pattern where you're consistently not nailing it, there's either you're not actually trying, or you might need more help than just what I'm suggesting here. So I hope this was helpful, guys. I hope this was informative. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. This is, oh, let me know if you've experienced this, or if you're going to try it, or what happens, or anything like that. And any whatever. If you found this helpful, please share it, like it, love it, all the things. I appreciate you guys as always. This is Coach Beth at Viking Vitality, helping people live powerful and pain-free lives, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.